All right, what's going on, everybody? So, I just kind of want to get on here and kind of talk about, you know, what's going on in this country as far as, politicians trying to actively strip us of our rights. We live in a different time than what we used to, and really it's been going on for years, but now it's like they're trying to bulldoze it and they're shoving it forward at a rapid pace. And when it comes to different things that's going on, every time something happens, you know there's a right or something that they're actively trying to strip away from us. you know Here recently, they passed a bill that allowed the IRS to hire 87,000 new agents to patrol people on, or the middle class, on what they believe that is tax evasion. And what's crazy to me is this was said years ago that they were going to go after the middle class. And if you notice, the last few years they've been preaching tax the rich, tax the rich. They get in office and they no longer have an interest in taxing the rich. They went immediately after the middle class. So it's just funny that, you know, we're sitting here, most of us are taxpayers. We pay our taxes, we go to work, and there's a big chunk of America that's in the middle class. Not rich, but not just extremely poor either. So you're middle class. And, the Democrats campaign and have been talking for the last couple of years of taxing the rich. We need to tax the rich. We need to tax the rich. And once they get control of everything, they're going immediately after the middle class. And this is just one thing, but if this doesn't show you that people really need to wake up to seeing what's going on, really nothing will. Because most people know who the IRS is, what they do, and, this is a government agency that you really can't play with and you can't get away from. So, it's just funny that, soon as Biden get in office and the Democrats take over, that's who they start. They start immediately going after the middle class, changing laws, and it doesn't affect anyone but the working class, all of them. And another thing is, how they're trying to do gun owners in this country and gun ownership. And that's a big one for me because I'm a huge Second Amendment supporter. I've owned guns for years, and I intend to keep owning guns. And, it's crazy because they're trying to make it seem like us legal gun owners are the reason shootings are happening. And in even tighter sense, they're trying to make it seem like, most gun owners are these racist, white Republicans. And, that is so far from the truth. I grew up, here in Northeast Texas, and I honestly can't even tell you a household that does not own a gun. Out of all the people that I know, all the houses I've been to, everyone at least had some type of weapon in their house. Democrats, Republicans, it really didn't even matter. Liberal, conservative, everyone here owned a weapon. Everyone here does own a weapon. Just about, anyway. If they don't, I really don't hear it, but for the most part, everyone that I know has a weapon in their house. They own guns. They're gun owners. And I know several that owns AR-15s. I've owned them myself. I've had the AK-47. And I intend to still be able to get one. But it's just crazy to me how these politicians are just blindly, you know, ignoring the Constitution, and instead of trying to push past assault weapons bans and, you know, trying to make it as hard as possible for people to own guns in this country. And I think it's just time that, you know, I believe everyone should start speaking out on this, because it's not right. And people need to understand, when we lose the Second Amendment and the First Amendment, you know, if we lose either one of those two, our rights are gone forever. The Constitution doesn't stand a chance. If you can't speak on anything, which is the First Amendment, you can't speak out against, you know, the government's actions of taking away guns. If they restrict your right to speak, you can't dispute what they're doing. So, you know, the First and the Second Amendment are the two most important amendments on the Constitution. They're 1 and 2 for a reason. But, you know, it's just nerve-wracking to me that, you know, we're in a time that they're going super hard after trying to take our guns away, you know. And it's just strange to me that no one really sees it. And to me, in my opinion, there's not enough traction or people speaking about it or speaking against it to get the attention of the politicians, you know. And I understand there's a lot of people that do speak against it. We have some really good pro Second Amendment channels, you know, news channels, and, you know, people who actively try to fight for this stuff. So we have people, but I honestly believe there should be a lot more. I believe everyone in this country who owns a weapon should start speaking up. And I also believe that everyone should understand that, you know, guns are protected under the Constitution. And if they can mess with anything on the Constitution, they can mess with any law that they want to control you as a person or as a people, you know. And every law is important. Every amendment is important. Everything written in the Bill of Rights is important enough to protect. And the founding fathers, they knew this, because, you know, this is the exact same Constitution that they wrote when they declared their independence, to ensure that government would not take over the people of this country ever again. They came over here to get from under an oppressive government. And it's like now we're reversing, and we're trying to give more power to the government, you know. And it's baffling. It's like, you know, how do people not appreciate freedom? Do they not understand, you know, what happens if a government takes over and takes total control over a population, which is happening in other countries, it's happening all over the world. But because they have so much government control in other places, you don't see the same things on the news. Our news is open to anyone across the world to see it, you know. But in other countries, especially far more oppressing countries, you don't see the news every day of those countries, you know. And if you see anything, it's what they want you to see. You know, Saudi Arabia, everything has to go through the prince before it even hits the TV. So they're controlling what the people see. And over here, it's the same way. But our stuff, our news is broadcast all over the world. And the way they control it with us, see, we are the targets of our own countries. And as Americans, the news is actively trying to make sure that certain things get censored, certain people don't, see. Like I was saying, other countries, they make sure of what's being put on their news station, what's being broadcast, and they also check what's being put out to the world. So, I feel like right now, if you love your freedom as just being a citizen in this country, there are several things that you got to start putting to the side and start seeing what's important. And you got to start standing up. Everyone stands up for the whole woke crowd and all the other liberal ideas that's being spewed out. But, there's a good chunk of us that are still, classic, and we like some of the older ways better than this whole new whatever they got. I don't even know what to call it anymore. It's worse than New Age if you ask me. But it's probably all together anyway. But I honestly believe that it's time to wake up and it's time to stand up. And for people everywhere, like I said, it doesn't matter who you are, what your background is. If you're a gun owner, we all need to come together. We need to put these petty differences aside, and start standing up for what this country was founded on, and for people who don't understand, before you make your hasty judgments, I suggest that you go back and study and look and understand your rights as a person, understand the Constitution, and understand how things are written and why they're written. People make assumptions and judgments and make comments, and half the time it's just out of pure ignorance. It's not even the fact that they know exactly what they're talking about, but because of this whole woke crowd and all this liberal gibberish that they put out, people want to feel like they know what they're talking about. They want to feel like the decisions they make are correct because they're so better and they're so much educated, and I know I'm on the right side, but a lot of things is just said out of pure ignorance. And it doesn't matter if the whole world's screaming a lie. It doesn't make it the truth. And that's what people fail to realize. So, you can have your feelings about anything, but the moment that you start trying to trample on the rights and the rights of the people, it does become a huge issue. And it becomes a huge issue for everybody, even the people who are quiet about it. You can stay quiet about it all you want, but it's not going to stop them from making the laws. They're trying to pass the assault weapons ban. This is active. They passed it in the House, and it's in the Senate right now, and they're working on that. And I just got a feeling that they're going to try something before the elections, especially if they're under threat of losing the election, So I just suggest people to start waking up and get out here and make your voice heard and let these people know that you want to keep your rights. You appreciate what you got, And on other fronts, not just gun rights, but, how they're raising taxes, And I understand there's a slew of them who you can talk to them and they honestly just feel like what you're saying is irrelevant. There's people you can't talk to, There was an article on CNN where, the gun owner said some of their friends aren't welcome to trying to understand. And you're going to have people like that. They don't want to understand. They don't want to know, you know? And a lot of it's got to do because they're comfortable where they're at and they don't want nothing disturbing their comfort. But it's dangerous when you try to stay so comfortable that your rights get taken, and now you're trying to fight to get them back. But as history says with any country, once your rights are gone, they're gone forever. So I think it's time that people just really start waking up. And that's just my 2 cents on it. So, if you feel the same way, drop a comment. I will respond. I like to engage with like-minded people. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. I just love to see it when people actually start to stand up and fight back. So that's what I think about it. So y'all let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.